Hello and welcome. My name is Natalie Sauer and I am your host for today's segment. With me is Dr. Ken Sauer, who really doesn't need an introduction. He's very busy with our community, always volunteering or leading the charge for many special events that come to Medicine Hat. And I'm very excited to have you today. So Dr. Sauer, what are we here to introduce today?
Natalie, we want to talk about the Special Olympics that are going to be held in 2026 in Medicine Hat, August the 9th to the 16th. An exciting type of event that we want the whole community be involved. And we'll talk about that today and in other segments as time goes through.
Absolutely. So for the Special Olympics Medicine Hat in the summer of 2026, what is your responsibility? What are you doing with all of this?
Well, what happens, of course, is anytime there's an event that comes to the city of Medicine Hat, the mayor of the city gets an invitation. Do you want to bid for this event? Whether it's Alberta Games or Senior Citizens Games across Canada and stuff like that. And then they turn it over to the Game Society, the Medicine Hat Alberta Game Society, which has been involved now for 1992. And the Game Society sits down and says, yeah, we'd like to do that. And then we have to prepare a bid. And then the bid is prepared and it's puts in everything that you wanted to know about Medicine Hat and our experience, take it to the city council, and they approve it, it goes on, and we become part of the bid process, which probably, by the way, there might be half a dozen other communities across Canada who are doing the same thing for the same event.
So how about if you tell us that really, if people don't really know what Special Olympics Canada is, can you kind of give us an overview of what is that actually?
Well, these are young people or individuals who are intellectually disabled and through no fault of their own. And what they are is a group of people who have an opportunity to strut their stuff. In other words, they are committed to doing something that brings success to themselves, to their family, and to the community itself. And it's a kind of a situation where we say, we haven't forgotten you. You are part of our community. You and the physically disabled and the regular athletes along the way, or the regular individuals, we're all part of this community. And we want to show, this time we want to show what you can do and what you have been doing the rest of the past life.
I'm so excited because it's actually a national event. This isn't just provincial, this is bringing athletes from all across Canada. And when I think about the Special Olympics Canada and how it started by Eunice Kennedy Shriver, I think in the 60s, and then in medicine, in Canada in the 80s, right?
Right.
So when it first came in 1986, it was in Alberta. And we will be the fortunate people to have it 40 years later in Alberta once again. So I think that's very exciting.
And yeah, it's rather important because Special Olympics Canada is really made up of the provincial Olympic associations. And then each province, for example, Alberta has a Medicine Hat Special Olympics chapter. And they are connected to the Lethbridge chapter. So there are about 14 chapters in Alberta. And across Canada then, there are probably altogether 100,000 people who are involved with Special Olympics. And it covers the waterfront from Newfoundland to British Columbia up to the Northwest Territories.
Absolutely. And what we would like to do is we would like to show people just a little snippet of what Special Olympics are about. Well, we have a video here that we could just share and they can come back to us.
Winning is inseparable from sport. But what if being a winner meant something completely different? This podium embodies the true spirit of sport. Because for us, sport is about more than rewarding a single individual. It's about creating an inclusive community where we elevate each other. Our 41,000 athletes with intellectual disabilities need you on their team. Because winning isn't just about medals or podium finishes. Winning is about pride, self-confidence, belonging, and friendship. Everybody wins at Special Olympics.
So you were sharing the process about the bid document and being how we actually get this event here. So why is it that Medicine Hat always looks for these sporting events and gets chosen for it? Why do you think it usually comes our way, that we're really lucky?
Well, first of all, you've got to be very alert to find out whether or not events coming to the city have any kind of economic impact and a kind of a volunteer respect for the work that they do, and to show and to just reflect the community as a whole. And I think what happens here in this particular case, one of our members was down in Toronto at a special organization meeting represented across Canada. And they said, have you ever thought about hosting the national games? Because you just got finished doing the Alberta Special Olympics Alberta Games in 2017. And so that person brought back the information, and we said, yeah, when the city got the invitation, let's go for it. So the Game Society sat down and said, this is a job that we can take on because we have experience from the Alberta Games themselves, 2002, 2000 Winter Games, 2008 Summer Games, 2016 Alberta Winter Games, 2017 Special Olympics Alberta, 2019 55 plus games. And so our people are experienced and they know what kind of a commitment it is. So yes, that's the idea then, is to let's put a bid together. And it's a document, by the way, which is filled with information about the city of Medicine Hat. It's filled with support letters from organizations and from the city itself, and from the school districts, and from the Stampede Board, and from the Hotel Association and things. So it becomes a total picture of what Medicine Hat is all about. So you send the bid in onto the City Council, and the City Council said, yes, we approve it. It goes down to the Special Olympics Canada in this particular case, and they take a look at that, and then they come out to visit. Because what they're looking for, what kind of facilities are they talking about? It's fine to see something in black and white in a bid document, but we want to see it. So we take them on a tour. We take them on all the facilities. We show the various kind of support letters we have from the Chamber of Commerce and from the Stampede Board and from the golf course and from other people along the way. So they get to meet some of these, and they say, just a minute now, this is a pretty gung-ho city here. They're really excited about this, and they're looking forward to being the host for this. Then they go back, and then they sit back, and they ponder, and they evaluate, and all the bids that come in, and then they say, no, you have been selected, which is a big moment for us.
Absolutely. I do recall when they came to our community to come and check us out, if you will, and they were so impressed with the enthusiasm that we had, the tour of the facilities Medicine Hat has to offer, and the support all the way around. And I always think that Medicine Hat just really knows how to showcase how to be ambassadors, how to welcome people in our community. And I feel that those are the reasons that people say, amongst all those other things that we do, that hospitality piece is what we do the best. So I'm encouraged to say the volunteers that will come forward, I'm sure, for this event, just like all the others, they'll be waiting in the wings for us.
And let me just add something to this, because again, we ran into a bit of a barrier. We had everything going well. The bid was submitted, it was evaluated, they came to visit us, and we actually had 3 or 4 meetings in planning, and all of a sudden COVID hit. And so our bid for 2022 was deferred. And so we've had a double excitement, being awarded the 2022. And then they said, now we said, what is the status of the Special Olympics Summer Games? And they said, I tell you what, you can be the host for 2026. All you have to do is take that bid of 2022 and bring it up to current status. Not 2022, 2026, 2026, 2026, and you enhance that bid document, and we will look at it again and say, yes, you can go on. So now we're going to have twice. We started, stopped, and we're going to start again. And now we're starting again, by the way. So they said you have the 2026, and it was in October 14th that we have the announcement that you have been selected for 2026. Sounds like a long distance away, but nobody knows how long planning takes to evolve into a special event.
Absolutely. So when it's here in Medicine Hat, what all takes place? What do we do with these athletes when they come in? What sports do they do? Share us a bit more about the event itself.
Well, first of all, the whole focus is on athletes. You know, there's going to be events supporting them along the way, but we want to make sure that all of these athletes coming from across Canada and Northwest Territories, they're going to be roughly 1,200, maybe 1,400, and then they have about 300 caregivers come with them because of their disabilities, and then about 100 150 officials. So we're talking about 1,500, 1,600 people. And because of their special needs, we have, instead of using the schools as we have in the past, with 16 people to a classroom type of a thing with a manager or coach, we have organized them in hotels. So hotels have been booked, by the way. This is rather interesting. And they've been very gung-ho again. I'm using that word gung-ho, but that's a way you want to get excited about it here, is that they're going to be in hotels. And then what happens is that we're going to feed them at the Stampede grounds. We have the Stampede grounds, by the way, we're going to have them register in the field house. We're going to have them eat in the, pick up their food in the auditorium and move to the pavilion and eat. And then the buses will take them to the competition in the morning. Stay around with them, give them a box lunch or bag lunch for lunch, and then bring them back and let them get refreshed at the hotel, at their hotel accommodation, then move back for the evening meal. The Tuesday night, they come in, for example, Sunday to Sunday. So Tuesday night, we're going to have an opening ceremonies, which is a big thing for them. And then this is a real motivational kind of a thing to get them going. And this is where the public can kind of buy tickets in there at a reasonable price to see what happens at an event like this. And there'll be bands and speakers from the city, the mayor, and then the VIPs, and maybe even someone from the sponsor. And that goes on 10 different sports. And basketball, for example, at Medicine Hat High, bowling at the bowling alley, bocce at the lawn bowling area, powerlifting at Temple Fitness, and golf at Medicine Hat Golf and Country Club, athletics or track and field at the Rotary Track and Field, the rhythmic gymnastics at Crescent Heights High School, softball at the Big Marble Go Center fields, the 4 fields, soccer at the same place, swimming at the same place. And so these 10 sports will now be the venues for these athletes to perform, compete, and be successful. Or what is so amazing about Special Olympics, and I'm going to use this example, if they're running down the track, there are 8 lanes, and there are 8 people running, they don't worry about getting in first, second. They're working for first or second, but if number 7 trips and falls, they'll all stop and turn around and go and help that athlete. Now that's the kind of person they are. And so what we have then is an opportunity not only to show their athletic ability, but their kindness and their caring for others. And that's a real good demonstration of what can happen.
There's certainly a beautiful example of athletes and sportsmanship and all those factors that we all look to, aren't they? Anytime I look at Special Olympics, the athletes are so inspirational, and the event brings that enthusiasm. So because these athletes are coming from all over Canada, how do I come to Medicine Hat as a Canadian event versus provincial? Like, tell us a little bit about how those athletes.
So what happens is that every province, there's Special Olympics Nova Scotia, Special Olympics Ontario, each of them will select their athletes, and of course the Special Olympics Canada brings the athletes to Medicine Hat, to destination here, and when they turn them over to us, we take over, And the idea is now is athletics is one part. We want to make sure that their excitement about being in Medicine Hat is something that they'll remember for a long time. So we prepare a games tabloid which talks about their sport and about the business organizations, about what Medicine Hat has to offer. And so now I have to blend the parents, because we are inviting parents from Newfoundland and BC to be with us as well. And so we'll incorporate some of those things too. For example, we might hold a mini rodeo for parents and for athletes who want to attend. And it's something that some people across Canada may not have had an opportunity to be at. We want to have a special banquet, for example, for the parents, and have Caterina Lemaidon come in and speak to them, or other people to speak to them, and then take them on tours of Medicine Hat. And we want to show off Medicine Hat. And so that's a nice blend along the way. But don't forget, those athletes are up bright and early in the morning. Breakfast is from 7 o'clock to 6:30 to 8. And then they're off to compete. And they compete most of the day. And some sports take 4 days for competition. Some take only 2 days. Some only take 1 day. But the fact is that they become part. And so we need to have something for them if they're not competing. Besides resting, there's an opportunity to rest as well. And it's the kind of a situation that you want to make sure that the focus is never taken away from those athletes, and making this the memory that they'll hold in their mind for a long time.
You know, I do recall in some of the other events that we have hosted that people came and experienced Medicine Hat, and how we are our hospitality, and how we're able to put on events, and from that even have moved here.
By the way, the 1998 Canada Senior Games, we had them here, and it was rather interesting. We had people really like this place, and history will show that the 8 or 10 couples moved here. And it's a kind of a thing that the parents, and they come in and then they see what we have to offer, and the environment around here, they may very well do the same kind of things. And that's okay too, because promotion and marketing will say this is a good place to be, and it's a fun place. And I tell you, they're just mad about being a volunteer because they want to show off. We have some of the best volunteers in Canada, I'm positive. Because in the games, Alberta Games, for example, we needed 3,000 volunteers. One time we had 32 apply. So we had to say that, I'm sorry, we're filled. We don't have any more room for people. And in this particular case, we're looking for 1,500 volunteers, almost one volunteer for every athlete and caregiver and official. So that means, again, that these 1,500 volunteers or more will be able to demonstrate their love for Medicine Hat and why they volunteered to be part of this, because they care about people and they want to show off that this is a good place.
And so it is, and I think that Medicine Hat, our community, usually cannot wait to be part of something new, and especially with this, it's bigger because it struts us to the entire country, and I think that those are the things that we can all get excited about, and we talk about anyone from the individuals who want to step up and volunteer, or businesses who might want to come and support us, or in just any way, people who have come collectively with some ideas that say, hey, our business can help make that also a wonderful experience while we have these guests in Medicine Hat. So part of your portfolio as the director of Friends of the Games. Right. Now that is a very large portfolio, because you're the one that has to bring in all the funds so this event can come together. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, there's just no doubt about it that the Friends of the Games, and whether it was I or whoever in the past has been the director there, that's a big job, and you have to bring together a team, because this budget is going to be $2.5 million, and it means that we have to have a lot of support. There's no doubt about it. There is support from the province. There is support from Special Olympics Canada itself, and of course Alberta Gaming has come along and said they're going to support us as well. But we have a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. We're doing a sponsorship brochure, and being a partner with the business community, Well, and we're asking them to become part of helping us, because each of these events, for example, there are 1,500 people and at $20 a person, that's a $30,000 dinner. Well, we can use a sponsor for that. And every time you get a sponsor, that means that your expenses are covered on that end. And we look forward to this because it's accommodation and food are the two big items in a budget. But when we look at the budget of 2.5 and to get people to commit, we want them to understand that there's an economic impact. The impact, for example, at Antigonish in 2018, for the $2.5 million expense budget, turned out to be an economic impact of $8.7 million. And we're sure that we could have the same kind of economic impact. And we hope that this is going to be a kind of a spark to get people on a positive note saying, by gosh, we've had enough of this COVID and the pandemic and this going bad and that going right. This will be a chance for us to light that spark and say, let's go forward to that target of making it a success. Because the success is if we get enough money to put on the events and to do the kind of things we want to do to make it an important event. And boy, I tell you, that's going to be a big job. And we've already started on it, by the way. So the main planning, if I can call it now, has been the Friends of the Games and the promotion and marketing. Because the promotion and marketing are making a sponsorship brochure. And been working with the Chamber of Commerce on that, by the way, which allows them to pick a way that they might help, whether it's $500 a year for 4 years, or whether or not it's $100 a year for 4 years or 5 years, or to sponsor an event. For example, there's a corporation in town in the past who have covered the volunteer attire, because we give every volunteer who comes in, we give them a T-shirt or a golf shirt, and we feed them, and we make sure that they're looked after as well, that token for lunch if they work across lunch and things like that. And so they come along and they cover the expense of that $30,000 or $40,000, and then they buy the water bottles, which again, we want to give a water bottle to every athlete and every caregiver, because we expect Medicine Hat to be warm in August 9th to the 16th. And so they do that. And then, of course, the third thing they do is, that, by the way, is about $8,000, because they cost about $8 each. And then the other thing is they volunteer. So every sports venue has a hydration center where water is available. And rather than having everybody come in and splashing and making a mess and somebody tripping and falling and hurting themselves, they provide volunteers, take the bottle, fill it, give it back, and there are no accidents and there's no mess. And so that's the kind of a way that a business or an organization could get involved, because it's sponsoring and it's also volunteering. Now, for example, the 10 sports that we have, we're going to speak we've requested or invited service clubs in town, which they have done in the past, to sponsor a sport. Now, right now, the Kiwanis Club in Medicine Hat, for example, are sponsoring track and field. And I'm speaking at the Lions Club. So they're planning another one. Another group is looking at what can we pick? Which can we pick? The Knights of Columbus are going to pick softball. Well, so if we get 10 sponsors, then the cost of running the sports, by the way, is reduced by the amount of sponsorship money we have. So you keep working. And Phil Turnbull, the director of Friends of the Games, we need a team. And so we're going to have a team of about 10 or 12 people at different events. We have a special one, which we are going with the superintendents of schools and all of the kids going to school. And that's called Toonie Day. The first Wednesday of May of every year for the next 5 years, we're going to ask every child from kindergarten to grade 12 to bring a toonie, to save that toonie, to come on in and have a Toonie Day. And they're going to bring it to their classrooms, and the classroom teacher, I hope their cooperation, the 4 superintendents of CAPE and Medicine Hat School Division, Medicine Hat Catholic Board, and Prairie Rose, by the way. So this is a regional thing, not only is it the city. And they are going to collect the toonies. And by the way, when that's all done and said, it could be a potential $100,000. So $100,000 to a budget of 2.5 is really a helpful one, because now we have to look for the next sponsorship along the way. What a unique way to do it. And we're hoping that organizations, that the Hockey Hounds might be involved in helping us with, say, at a Tiger game, a 50-50, and we're looking for Battle of the Bands, for example, to have all the local bands, maybe the long weekend of August, and the special kind of thing each year to see who people think the favorite of the audience. We have Bill Cox, for example, is a chair with the benefit concerts. Maybe being an artist like Brad Kissel, who's an Albertan, come on in here and do a concert, and then we at the Big Marble Center, or even at the Co-op Center, and it's projects like that will get people involved and keep thinking of how important it is that we show off Medicine Hat in 2026.
Well, certainly all those great ideas already that you're sharing are quite incredible. And I think we both know our community that multiple people will come up and say, hey, I can help you with this, or I have an event that could come in and support this initiative. And I think that's great. And specifically the Toonie Day that you were talking about, I think how exciting that we're reaching out to our families and our school communities, and that all superintendents from our area said, you know, we're going to look to support that. I think what an honor and a privilege that they would see that as an opportunity for the kids.
When we raised the issue with them, or the matter with them, they were just absolutely positive, confirmed right away. And the fact is that because, you know, in schools, teachers are talk about kindness and caring. And this is the Toonie Day, for example, just shows that a little individual in kindergarten is kind and he cares about other people. And that's the message we get inside their heart. And it's the kind of a thing that we want to say, this is a community event, and starting with the little people, and going right up to the person who's 90, or Roy Gale, who's 100 and some, you know, who's always been a great supporter, a Lions member who's a great supporter, who volunteers his whole life and still continues to be part and parcel of a support for events like this.
That's fantastic. And I know along the way we'll be looking forward to many of those initiatives coming together. So your portfolio is busy and has hit the ground running. That we can certainly see. So how about some of the other portfolios?
I'll just add a point here. They can't have the games without the finance. Absolutely. And so we have to emphasize that point to a lot of people. We have to have the budget in place to make sure that the planning for the sports and the planning for this or planning for that does have money to cover it, because there are costs along the way. So that's so important.
Absolutely.
You know, kindness and caring, but they have to be motivated to say, let's help them meet that budget. And I'm just going to throw one other thing in too, because we've taken a look at the budget itself, and we said, okay, because Medicine Hat has always operated the games with a legacy after surplus, and we'll talk about that later on too. But the fact is that what you want to do is take a look at each portfolio and see our famous mantra, right? You beg, you borrow, and then you buy. Mm-hmm. Because the idea is that wherever you can get a gift in kind or a service in kind. For example, Conical Minolta has given us a copier, so we can do all the print in-house. Staples, for example, used to be a national sponsor, and there are national sponsors, but they've given us the paper to do the printing. So again, you're motivating them to say, how can we help? And every time they help. So if the budget, if somebody's budget, let's say the director of administration, your budget was $150,000, and then we say, okay, fine. If we can work this on with all the help with services in kind and gifts in kind, we can probably cut it down to $100,000, because $50,000 is going to be covered by. And that's the way you save money. Now, the more we raise, and we give you some back in case something comes up that you need more money.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And I think that is the most important. As much as we can talk about the event itself and certainly our hosting of it, we can't do this without the foundation of the funds that would be available, because that's how we make the event the best it can be, with the support that we would require for those finances.
And let me just point one thing: the city gives us a grant of $300,000, but when this bid is accepted by the council, they put in writing that they will cover any deficit. Now, the experience we've had over the last 12 different organizations or events we've had in the city, we've always had a surplus. And because we're going to work on the same idea, Special Olympics Canada says we'd like you to make sure there's 30% of the proceeds that go to Special Olympics Canada to carry on their programs in the future. And then we expect the Special Olympics Canada, Alberta, Medicine Hat chapter, that they have some of that legacy as well. And then the other legacy will be, we'll have a policy of how we're going to spend it if we get it. And of course, we've always guaranteed one, so this means that that's a commitment that our board of directors are going to make, that we're going to have a surplus for a legacy.
Right. And we can do that by all the initiatives you were sharing, with our community support behind us, with the government's support that you have mentioned, with our city as part of that and contributing and right off the hop. And so we're gonna get there. I believe it, and I know with you at the helm and your team of many behind you that you will attain that goal. That's for sure.
It's going to be commitment and dedication by a lot of people, and that's what we look forward to working with.
Absolutely. So tell me, there's a board of directors or a host organizing committee. What is that all about? Is that started, or how does that come about?
Okay, well, when the games are awarded to the city of Medicine Hat, they're awarded to the city. And the Medicine Hat Alberta Games Society is the incorporated body. So the city turns it over to the Games Society to run the event. Now, because the Game Society is the broad structure, the umbrella structure, they set up a governance operating committee. And the governance operating committee is made up of some of the directors from the Game Society, but has a chairman who does the planning of the event itself. So the Game Society members who are crisscrossing, for example, I'm the vice chairman of the Medicine Hat Alberta Game Society. And I'm also the vice chairman of the governance operating committee. That's a connection. Yes. So the money is collected by the Game Society, and then the governance operating committee does the planning, and they make sure that their expenses are covered. When they have an expense, they say, we have to pay for this. And then so we then allocate the funds. So the director of finance, for example, is also on the Game Society and on the governance operating committee to make sure that the money is available and is accounted for. And so that's a tie-in along the way. But the actual planning for the games themselves is under the governance operating committee. Now, Brian Varga, by the way, we nominated him and sent on the nomination to the mayor. That's the way the process calls for. And we said we want to nominate Brian Varga as the chair of the governance operating committee. And the mayor at that time, Mayor Cluxon, approved it. And so Brian now is that chairman. Ted Rodich, on the other hand, is the chairman of the Medicine Hat Alberta Game Society, the umbrella one. Right. And like city council, that's the city council. And the governance operating committee is like a committee, a standing committee of council. And so that connection is there, and it kind of flows back and forth along the way there, and everybody's in tune. And so the planning will take place with the sports, and it'll take place with the opening ceremonies, it'll take place with facilities, there'll be someone looking after signage along the way, and that planning gets evolved. You know, they have to go for RFPs, requests for proposals for certain things along the way. We have to get permission from Alberta Transportation to put up signs on the highway coming in and out. And that all takes communication and putting it into place so it all falls together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
It is. And it takes good people. And it takes great people.
So every one of them have a committee. And they put those things together. So this puzzle piece comes in here, this puzzle comes in, and finally we have a nice picture. This is the event.
I look really forward to segments in the future introducing some of these folks from the governing committee, because we know that a lot of them have a lot of experience and have been a part of the games and other events along the way in Medicine Hat, and they also surround themselves with some really good people. And I do know that our community is going to say, how can I get involved in some way? And although people are to have directorships, none of them can do it alone, and they do require a good support system. So stay tuned to our community of ways that you'll be able to be involved even as a chairman level and those kind of things in order to make these things happen, because it's certainly not a person or 10 people that sit on a governance committee. It's really, as you mentioned, all 1,500 people that have to take it from start to finish to bring it to Medicine Hat.
It's so important to emphasize that this is a lot of people working together. And for example, Jennifer Kerslake doing the opening ceremonies, she might have 20 people helping in various parts or even more. And Michael Ansel, who was facilities and warehousing, he probably would have 20 people or more. For example, busing, the person in charge of transportation is going to be 40 to 50 school buses to pick and move the athletes back and forth. Stan Sakamoto at the Stampede grounds, but to feed, he will probably have 40 or 50 or maybe even 100 people working with him. So it's the planning. And Darlene Keeler, for example, is in charge of the food services. Well, she'll want to make sure that she has a group of people doing the bag lunches and getting them out to the athletes. And then, say, Stan, getting the people there to eat and so forth. And the sports, they're going to, every sport, for example, basketball might have 20 people helping, scorekeeping, announcing, and checking, making sure the washrooms are all prepared for the athletes and things like that. And then there's a special one where we actually involve more than the volunteers. There's going to be called the health and fitness one. And this is where athletes are able to use professionals in the community. Special Olympics Canada sets that up. And we'll use Medicine Hat High School or perhaps Medicine Hat College, where we'll say they check their optometrists will check their eyes, and someone will check their feet, and so there'll be opportunities to have shoes that fit them, type of thing. So what you say is right. It's not just the directors. The directors fan out, and by the time we're finished, there's 1,500 people, and these segments that you're going to talk about are going to say, I like that idea. I think I like that particular portfolio. I think I'm going to put my name in for that. And then from then on, we register them, and they are hooked with us.
We will take them, and we'll welcome them, because we always look for people's expertise or the things that give people some energy, that they say, yes, I can help out with the sports, or I can help out with the food portfolio, or any things, or I have 2 days to help out for that time frame, because it's a longer event than we have had in the past. Sometimes they're a weekend or 3 or 4 days. Now we've extended out till to 6. So we've got, there's a lot of time that we need to fill, and a lot of people that are going to need to make that happen. So people,
any kind of volunteers, we ask them, we show them the times. Are you good for a day or 2 days? You tell us how much, because that's rather important. And all they get in the long run, by the way, is satisfaction that they have done a good job to show Medicine Hat as a beautiful community in this country of Canada. And then the next thing, of course, is we give them a volunteer appreciation at the end. We give them a dinner or some sort of a satisfaction along the way, and say thank you very much for helping, because that it's like in a school. It's not the principal that's the first contact with the public. It's the secretary or the custodian. And it's rather important, by the way, the contact in Medicine Hat when these games come in here. It's not Brian Vigo or Ken Sauer or Natalie Sauer. It's what it is. It's the volunteer that's there at the hotel. We're going to have concierges type of thing to be there to answer a question. Here is the person that I can go to for a question I have or a concern I have. And at a facility, for example, it's the people when I walk in that door that smiled and welcomed me into that area. That's the first person I'm going to remember in Medicine Hat for that wasn't connected with me on the bus or from Toronto or wherever I've come from. It's that kind of a commitment that we have and dedication to being, and the word ambassador just fits it. You to be an ambassador, you got to be a positive person. And that's what our volunteers in Medicine Hat are all about. They're great, positive, dedicated people.
We do that, and we do that very well, and that time and time again. So Ken, is there anything else that we haven't touched on? I know we wanted to share with everyone just to start informing people about the event is coming. We wanted to explain to them kind of how it all came together and came to be, and how they can start by contributing to, right now specifically to the Friends of the Games, but definitely look forward to many other opportunities along the way where people can volunteer from. Is there anything that we might have missed that you'd like to share?
No, well, I'm not missing, but I want to emphasize the Friends of the Games. The province has another initiatives program that they support national events in Alberta. And the last one, when we bid for the 2022, they came forward with $500,000 out of the gaming, and we got the $500,000 and had to turn it back. So the application is in there, and in April or May we'll look forward to that commitment from them for the $500,000. We have the city for $300,000 plus the deficit covering. Alberta Gaming is allowing us to have provincial casinos in Calgary, and we've had 2 already, by the way. So if somebody drops out in Calgary, Alberta Gaming phones us and said, "Are you available to take on that spot?" So we've had that, and that'll probably be $150,000. So we're looking for 5 to 7 of those, and we had to submit a business case to them, and then we're going to go to we have the 20 days there, and we're going to go to the Chamber of Commerce. We're signing an agreement with them, and we're going to get this sponsorship booklet to everybody, and they're going to promote with us. So. We're pushing that particular part now because that's the foundation to make sure the games can go ahead. And so I want to just emphasize it and re-emphasize it that we would like the commitment of everyone. We want this to be a city event, a community event, not city, a community event, Southeast Alberta. Yes. Because people from Oyen and Hilda and Schuler and Redcliffe and the county's type of thing, we want them involved too. And so it's because we want them to be the reflection of kindness and caring, that this group of intellectually disabled people and their families know that we're different, that we are really a community where you're going to expect that kind of result when you come here to visit.
Absolutely.
So the Friends of the Games are going to be at your doorstep, and we're going to get posters. So we want the business community, by the way, to have a poster on their door that say, "We are proud sponsors of the 2026 Special Olympics Canada Summer Games."
Well, thank you, Ken. We've had a really good time together and spent lots of time informing people on what the Special Olympics is all about, and we look forward to sharing more with people in the future. So once again, you're hearing that our need is around the Friends of the Games to get that foundation of the finances put in place so we can really host an amazing event when it comes. So any way you can help us out with that, we greatly appreciate it. And also, hearing what you've heard today, if you hear about, you say, I could help out with transportation, or I'm very excited about the sports, or anything like that, if you find an interest, please be sure to email us or come to our website. You'll get that information. And we welcome to see what the strengths and talents that our Medicine Hat community has to offer. So please come and join us and get a hold of us.